If you have ever felt like your dreams are slipping further away, no matter how hard you try, then listen carefully, because ignoring this message could cost you years of wasted effort and endless frustration. Right now, there is a hidden reason why your affirmations fail, why your visualizations collapse, and why the life you want always feels just out of reach. It is not because you are lazy. It is not because you lack discipline. The truth is darker and more urgent. What you have been taught about change is broken. You have been forcing your mind to think positively, forcing your body to stay motivated, forcing reality to obey your will. And every time you do that, you fracture your own energy and send a distorted signal into the quantum field. Science proves this. Every thought releases an electromagnetic signature. Every emotion creates measurable patterns in your brain and heart. When you are anxious, your heart rhythm becomes jagged, your breathing constricts, and your brain waves scatter. Researchers call this incoherence. It is biological noise. It is the static that drowns out your signal. Imagine trying to tune a radio while static blasts in your ears. The music is there, but you will never hear it. That is what happens when you declare, "I am abundant," while your body screams fear and lack. The universe does not hear your words. It hears the total vibration of your state. This is why people chase results for years and collapse in exhaustion. This is why the harder you push, the more life pushes back. There is a different path, but very few will ever take it. It is not about trying harder. It is about shifting your frequency into coherence, so your signal becomes clean, powerful, and undeniable. And the terrifying truth is this: if you do not learn how to create this quantum frequency shift right now, you will stay stuck in the same exhausting loop forever. So let me ask you, how many times have you fought against life with everything you had, only to feel as if you were sinking deeper into the same swamp of problems? How many nights have you repeated your affirmations with clenched fists and tight jaws, yet woken up to the same financial struggle, the same fear, the same emptiness? This is the invisible battle, and it is the battle you can never win by force. Sarah knew this battle all too well. She was a young woman living in New York City, working 70 hours a week, pushing herself beyond exhaustion, reading every self-help book she could get her hands on, waking at dawn to write her intentions, repeating over and over that she was abundant. Yet month after month, the bills piled up. The credit card debt grew. The weight of her own frustration became unbearable. Can you feel her pain? She was not lazy. She was not unfocused. She was simply trapped in a cycle of incoherence. One part of her broadcasted the desperate desire for freedom. The other part screamed with fear that she would never escape. That noise filled her entire energy field, and reality only mirrored back the noise. Science confirms exactly why this happens. When your nervous system is locked in survival mode, your body floods with cortisol. Your brain loses access to higher order thinking. Your heart rhythm turns jagged. This is the incoherent signal the quantum field responds to. It does not matter how beautiful the words of your affirmations are if your body is frozen in fear. Think of Sarah again, sitting alone in her apartment late at night, staring at the numbers on her bank statement. Her lips whispering, "I am free." Her heart pounding, "I am trapped." That contradiction created a signal of confusion. And confusion never creates liberation. So I ask you, how many times have you been Sarah? How many times have you tried to shout over your fear with positive thinking only to find the fear grow louder? This is why so many feel like their dreams are slipping away, no matter how hard they push. Because the pushing itself is the problem. Now imagine something different. Imagine for a moment that you stopped fighting. Imagine that instead of broadcasting noise, you broadcast a signal so clean, so coherent, that reality could not ignore it. That is the quantum frequency shift. and it is available to you now. But here is the warning. If you ignore this, if you keep playing the same game of force, you risk living the next decade in the same exhausting loop, waking each day with the same battles, ending each year with the same regrets. So what will you choose? Will you keep fighting the invisible wall until you collapse? Or will you finally learn how to shift your signal into harmony? This is the moment of decision. This is the invitation to step out of incoherence and into coherence. And right here is where your first action begins. If you have ever felt like Sarah, if you have ever been trapped in that cycle of exhaustion and frustration, then declare it now. Write in the comments, "I have been there," because the very act of declaring breaks the silence. It tells your own nervous system, I am no longer hiding. I am ready to shift. This is not just interaction. This is alignment. When you type those words, you send a signal of recognition. A signal that says, I see the truth and I am willing to change. And that signal matters. So take a breath. Place your hand on your heart and decide. Decide if you are ready to stop pushing against the current. Decide if you are ready to stop layering words over fear. Decide if you are ready to clean your signal so that the universe finally responds with clarity. Because here is the undeniable truth. If the problem is not the brain, then what is the true source of your reality? And the answer may surprise you. Your heart, not your brain, is the most powerful center of energy within you. Take a moment and let that sink in. How many years have you been told that your brain controls everything? That your thoughts alone shape your destiny? That if you can just think the right way, your entire life will change? But what if the true command center of your reality has been hiding in plain sight, beating inside your chest every second of your life? Science is finally catching up to what mystics and sages whispered for centuries. The field of neurocardiology has revealed something astonishing. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that is 5,000 times stronger than the one created by your brain. This field extends several feet beyond your body, measurable by modern instruments. In other words, every single beat of your heart sends a wave of information into the space around you, shaping not only how you feel, but how reality itself responds to you. Think about the implications. If the brain is like the software, then the heart is the power grid. You can have the most brilliant code, but without electricity, nothing runs. That is why people can repeat affirmations for years, yet remain trapped. Their software is loaded, but the power source is chaotic. When you are anxious or angry, your heart rhythm becomes jagged and unstable. Scientists call this incoherence. That unstable rhythm sends distorted signals to your brain, disrupting your ability to think clearly, to make decisions, and to see possibilities. But when you shift into gratitude, compassion, or calm, your heart rhythm becomes smooth like a sine wave. This is coherence. And in coherence, your brain lights up with clarity. Your nervous system relaxes, your immune system strengthens. Suddenly, you are no longer broadcasting chaos. You are broadcasting harmony. Now let me tell you a story. John was a former Navy veteran from Texas. He carried the weight of war on his shoulders. Night after night, he woke in terror, soaked in sweat, haunted by memories he could not silence. The doctors gave him pills, but the nightmares continued. He tried meditation, but his mind refused to sit still. For years he believed he was broken beyond repair. Then John was introduced to the practice of heart-brain coherence. It was simple: slow breathing, focused awareness on the heart, a deliberate invitation of gratitude. At first it felt impossible. His body was used to being on high alert. But slowly, day by day, his heart rhythm began to change. The jagged lines smoothed, his breathing lengthened, his nervous system softened. And one night, for the first time in over a decade, John slept through the night. The next morning he wept because peace had finally returned to him. What happened to John was not magic. It was biology. The moment his heart entered coherence, his brain began to reorganize. The neural chaos of trauma gave way to stability. The electromagnetic field around him shifted from noise to clarity. The nightmares lost their grip because his signal was no longer fractured. So ask yourself, if a man scarred by years of war can reclaim peace through the language of his heart, what does that mean for you? What battles in your own life could dissolve the moment you tuned your energy into coherence? Do you see how urgent this is? While you continue to rely only on your brain, you are fighting with half your power shut down. You are like a pilot trying to fly with one wing. But the instant you awaken the power of your heart, you double your influence. Your signal grows undeniable. The quantum field begins to reorganize around you, not because you forced it, but because your coherence left no room for resistance. This is why traditions across the world spoke of the heart as the true seat of wisdom. Buddhists called it the awakened heart. Indigenous shamans spoke of the heart as the bridge between worlds. And now Western science confirms that the heart is not only a pump, but a command center communicating with your brain through nerves, hormones, and electromagnetic energy. So what does this mean for you right now? It means that every time you choose to slow your breath, every time you choose to invite gratitude into your chest, you are sending a powerful instruction to reality. You are rewriting the vibration of your life, not from the head down, but from the heart out. And I need you to feel the urgency of this, because if you keep ignoring the intelligence of your heart, you will keep circling the same problems again and again. You will keep trying to outthink your fear, while your heart keeps broadcasting panic. You will keep layering positive affirmations over a body stuck in survival mode, and the results will keep slipping through your fingers. But the instant you turn inward and align with your heart, you reclaim the steering wheel of your destiny. You reclaim clarity. You reclaim energy. You reclaim the ability to create outcomes, not by force, but by resonance. So let me speak directly to you. If you believe that your heart carries wisdom beyond your mind, then declare it now. Write in the comments, "I trust my heart." Let that act be your first step into coherence. Let the simple gesture be the signal that your nervous system has been waiting for. Because here is the question that changes everything. You know now that the heart is the true power center. But how do you take this knowledge and shift your frequency so life itself becomes easier? The answer is this. You do not need to force. You only need to allow. Let those words settle into your chest. For so long you have been told that more effort equals more results. That if you just push harder, visualize longer, repeat louder, life will finally bend to your will. But what if the exact opposite is true? What if the harder you push, the more resistance you create? What if the secret to transforming your life is not in straining, but in surrendering? This is not weakness. This is not passivity. This is power of a different order. Because when you stop forcing, you stop scattering your energy. Your nervous system begins to calm. Your awareness expands. The static in your signal fades. Suddenly, you are no longer wrestling reality into submission. You are tuning yourself into coherence, and coherence always calls reality into alignment. So how do you do this? How do you allow rather than force? The method is simple but profound. It is a 3-step technique I call the quantum frequency shift. Step 1 is breath. Step 2 is focus on the heart. Step 3 is the dissolving question. Let me show you. First, the breath. Right now, take a slow inhale through your nose. Let it expand your belly as if you are filling a vessel with air. Hold for a moment. Then exhale gently through your mouth, releasing the weight of tension. Repeat. With every cycle, you are signaling your body that you are safe. You are pulling your nervous system out of survival mode. Step 2. Focus on the heart. Place your hand on your chest. Direct your awareness to that space. Imagine the air flowing directly in and out through your heart. Invite even the smallest spark of gratitude. Gratitude for this breath. Gratitude for this moment. It does not need to be overwhelming. Even a flicker of sincerity creates coherence. And then step 3, the dissolving question. Ask yourself, not with words in your mind, but with feeling in your body, what would it feel like if this was already resolved? Do not search for answers. Allow your body to respond. Maybe you feel warmth. Maybe your jaw softens. Maybe your breath deepens. That is the signal of your system reorganizing. That is coherence forming. Emily discovered this truth in the most brutal of circumstances. She was a nurse in California during the height of the health crisis. Every day she faced overflowing wards, endless suffering, and a body pushed beyond exhaustion. At night she collapsed onto her bed, but sleep would not come. Her mind replayed every sound, every cry. She whispered affirmations, prayed for relief, but her body was locked in terror. Then one evening she tried the 3 steps. She breathed slowly. She placed her hand on her chest. She asked the dissolving question, what would it feel like if this was already resolved? To her surprise, a softness spread through her body. Tears streamed down her face, not of despair, but of release. For the first time in months, she slept. And the next morning, she rose lighter, clearer, steadier. Understand this. Emily did not force her way into peace. She allowed coherence to emerge. And once it did, her field shifted. Her patients noticed her calm presence. Her colleagues leaned on her steadiness. She became an island of clarity in chaos. Now imagine yourself in her place. Imagine bringing this shift into your own struggles. Your finances, your relationships, your health. Can you feel the relief of no longer pushing, no longer straining, but allowing your energy to align on its own? That is the paradox. The moment you stop forcing, transformation accelerates. Science confirms it. When your breath slows, your heart rhythm smooths into a coherent pattern. That coherent signal then synchronizes your brain waves. Stress hormones drop. Regenerative hormones rise. Your immune system strengthens. Your perception widens. You are literally tuning your body into a different frequency. And the field responds not to your words, but to that frequency. So let me speak directly to you. Are you ready to stop exhausting yourself? Are you ready to stop layering positivity over fear? Are you ready to experience the relief of coherence? If so, I invite you to act now. Write in the comments these words. Show me. Declare it. Signal to yourself and to this field that you are done with force, that you are ready to allow. This is not just engagement. This is alignment. When you type those words, you are taking your first step into coherence. You are sending your nervous system a command. The struggle ends here, but a question remains. What if your mind, always restless, always hungry for control, tries to turn even this practice into another trap? What if the very tool of freedom becomes another weapon of pressure? Yet what happens if the mind turns this technique into a trap of its own? The trap is when you pretend to be positive while inside you are filled with resistance. Think about that for a moment. How many times have you forced a smile while your chest was heavy? How many times have you repeated, "I am fine," when every cell in your body was screaming, "I am not"? This is the silent sabotage. This is how we betray ourselves. You see, the danger is not just in negativity. The deeper danger is in false positivity. When you force yourself to act cheerful while your inner state is fractured, you create a war inside. And that war sends chaos into the quantum field. One part of you broadcasts desire. Another part broadcasts fear. The result is interference, static confusion. Science proves it. Studies show that when people suppress their emotions, their stress hormones spike. Their immune system weakens. Their heart rhythms become erratic. Pretending positivity is not harmless. It is biological sabotage, and it does not stop there. Another trap is obsessive monitoring of your thoughts. You have heard it before. Watch your thoughts. Guard every word. Never let a negative belief slip through. But what happens? You become hypervigilant. You scan every thought like a soldier scanning a battlefield. You fear your own mind. This does not create freedom. It creates obsession. It drains your energy and keeps your body in survival mode. Then there is the third trap, expectation. The moment you demand instant results, the moment you measure your practice by how quickly life changes, you pull yourself out of coherence. You reintroduce tension. You broadcast lack. Because urgency is another form of fear disguised as motivation. Michael from Chicago knew this torment well. He was a successful entrepreneur on the outside. His company was thriving. His life looked polished. But inside, he was unraveling. Every day, he tried to control his thoughts. He kept journals. He repeated affirmations 100 times. He forced himself to visualize the perfect outcome. And the more he tried to control, the more exhausted he became. At night, he could not sleep. His mind raced with images of failure. He believed that if one negative thought escaped, it would destroy everything he had built. He was living in a mental prison of his own making. Then one evening he collapsed. Not physically, but emotionally. He realized he could not fight anymore. In desperation, he did something radical. He stopped. He released the obsession. He allowed himself to think, to feel without control. For the first time in years, he breathed without fear. And to his shock, he felt lighter. His body softened. His heart steadied. That night, he experienced the peace that had eluded him for years. Michael's freedom came not from more effort, but from surrender. From letting go of the traps that had silently sabotaged him. So now, let me ask you, how many of these traps have stolen your energy? How many times have you put on the mask of positivity while drowning inside? How many hours have you wasted chasing every thought, terrified of negativity? How many times have you demanded results so quickly that you suffocated the very process that could have set you free? The truth is brutal but liberating. You do not fail because you are weak. You fail because you are trapped in strategies that guarantee failure. Strategies that turn your power against you. But imagine this. Imagine what happens when you step out of those traps. When you stop pretending. When you stop policing every thought. When you stop demanding instant proof. Imagine the relief of coherence rising naturally. Your nervous system calming. Your heart rhythm smoothing. Your brain waves aligning. That is when life begins to flow with you instead of against you. This is why I must speak with urgency. Because as long as you remain in these traps, you are running on a treadmill that never moves forward. You are exhausting yourself while staying in the same place. And if you do not break free, you will spend years repeating the same cycle of frustration. So take action right now. If you have ever felt the crushing weight of forcing positivity, if you have ever lived in the prison of your own thoughts, if you have ever chased results only to watch them slip through your fingers, then declare it. Write in the comments, "I understand." Do it now. Signal to yourself that you see the trap clearly, that you are ready to step out of it. Because here is the secret. The moment you recognize the trap, you weaken its power. Awareness dissolves deception. And in that awareness, you reclaim choice. So let me ask you again. What truly happens when you finally free yourself from these traps? What shifts in your reality when the resistance ends? When you step beyond the traps, you enter the state of resonance where life begins to flow with you. Take a breath and imagine that for a moment. No more straining. No more chasing. No more endless struggle to force reality into shape. Instead, doors begin to open without you pounding on them. People arrive at the perfect moment. Opportunities seem to fall into your lap, not by accident, but by design. This is the phenomenon that mystics spoke of and scientists now observe. It is called synchronicity. Synchronicity is not random luck. It is not coincidence. It is the alignment of your internal state with the external field. When your heart and brain are coherent, the energy you broadcast is clear, strong, undeniable. That signal draws experiences that mirror your frequency. You become like a tuning fork vibrating at a pure note, and reality around you vibrates in response. Think about the difference between swimming upstream and floating with the current. For years you may have fought against life, exhausting yourself with every stroke. But the moment you shift into resonance, it feels as if the river itself carries you forward. You still move, but the struggle is gone. That is the power of synchronicity. Lisa discovered this in the most unexpected way. She was an artist living in Seattle. For years, she forced herself to sell her paintings. She begged galleries. She discounted her work. She told herself every morning, "I must succeed." But the more she pushed, the less she sold. Her passion was dying under the weight of her desperation. One day she stopped. She let go of the obsession. She painted for the joy of color, the joy of expression, not the chase of money. She entered resonance without even knowing it. And then it happened. A stranger walked into the small coffee shop where her work hung. He was a collector visiting from out of town. He saw her painting. He felt the vibration of her truth on the canvas. Within a week, he purchased multiple pieces and introduced her to a network of patrons who supported her career. Was it luck? No, it was synchronicity. It was the reflection of her inner shift. When she stopped forcing, she allowed coherence to emerge. And life responded by flowing with her instead of against her. How many times has this happened in your own life? The phone call that arrived at the exact moment you needed it. The chance encounter that led to an opportunity. The song on the radio that spoke the answer to your question. These are not accidents. These are signals that you have touched resonance, even if only for a moment. Science supports this mystery. Studies show that coherent heart rhythms synchronize not only with the brain, but with the environment itself. Groups of people practicing coherence together show measurable alignment in their energy fields. It is as if coherence creates a magnetic pull, aligning events and experiences in ways that defy probability. So I must ask you directly, are you ready to live in this flow? Are you ready to stop battling the river and let it carry you? Are you ready to experience the ease of synchronicity guiding your path? Because here is the truth. You cannot manufacture synchronicity by force. You cannot demand it on your timeline. It arises naturally when you live in resonance. It is a byproduct of coherence, not a reward for effort. And once you taste it, you will never want to go back. The relief, the joy, the sheer wonder of watching reality align in ways your mind could never have planned. It feels like magic, but it is science. It feels supernatural, but it is the most natural state of all. So I invite you right now, if you have ever experienced a moment of strange alignment, if you have ever seen the universe whisper back to you through synchronicity, then write in the comments, "I have seen it." Declare that you recognize the signal. Declare that you are ready for more. Because the moment you acknowledge it, you amplify it. The field responds to your awareness. The more you notice synchronicity, the more it multiplies. But let me leave you with a pressing question. What happens when the river carries you when life flows, but storms still rise on the horizon? What happens when challenges appear, even in resonance? Yet, if you are in alignment, and life still throws challenges your way, then what truly happens? Challenges are not the enemy. They are frequency tests. Sit with that for a moment. How many times have you cursed your struggles, wishing them away, convinced they were punishment or proof of failure? Yet what if every challenge that rose against you was not here to destroy you but to measure you? What if each obstacle was a mirror reflecting the frequency you carry inside? Think about it. When stress hits, when life throws its hardest punches, what happens inside your body? Science reveals the truth. Under pressure, your heart rate variability collapses. Your heart rhythm turns jagged. Your brain falls into chaos, and your nervous system loses balance. But when you are coherent, when heart and brain align, something remarkable happens. You recover faster. You adapt quicker. You rise stronger. The test of challenge does not crush you. It calibrates you. Robert, a world-class athlete from Boston, faced this exact crucible. He had trained his whole life for the Olympics. His body was a machine. His spirit was unbreakable. Until one slip, one accident, shattered his leg just months before the games. Everything he had worked for, every dream, gone in an instant. The pain was brutal, but the despair was worse. He asked himself, who am I if I am not the athlete? For weeks he sank into darkness, but then something shifted. Through rehabilitation, he was introduced to heart-brain coherence training. At first, he resisted. He wanted to fight. He wanted to conquer. But slowly, breath by breath, he began to feel it. His heart rhythm smoothing, his mind quieting, his body finding harmony again. And then the breakthrough. Robert realized that the injury had not ended his purpose. It had redirected it. He began mentoring younger athletes. He brought the wisdom of resilience into his coaching. He taught them that performance was not just about strength, but about coherence. Today, Robert is celebrated not as the athlete who lost his chance, but as the coach who shaped champions. Do you see it? The injury was never his enemy. It was his test. And when he passed it, his destiny expanded. So let me ask you, what challenge in your life right now feels like a crushing weight? What if it is not here to break you, but to reveal the frequency you hold? What if the very thing you curse as your downfall is the gate to your transformation? Science confirms what Robert lived. Heart rate variability, HRV, is the marker of resilience. When your system is incoherent under stress, recovery is slow. Energy is drained. Clarity disappears. But in coherence, even under pressure, the system bounces back. You become adaptive, flexible, unshaken. The test reveals your level of alignment. And this is why you must never see challenge as failure, because the field is always listening. When resistance arises, your frequency is being measured. Will you collapse into fear, or will you rise in coherence? This is the urgency I want you to feel. Every trial is a question. Are you aligned? And every response becomes your answer. So I turn to you now. If you are walking through fire, if life is testing you in ways you never imagined, do not retreat. Do not declare yourself defeated. Instead, stand tall. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe coherence into your system. And declare out loud in the comments, I am still here. Let that statement be your frequency. Let the universe know you cannot be broken, because this is the shift. The challenge is not the end. The challenge is the calibration. And once you see it this way, your fear dissolves. You stop asking, why me? You begin asking, what is this teaching me? That is the mindset of coherence. That is the frequency of resilience. And here is the mystery that follows. If challenges are tests of frequency, then what becomes of the idea of success? What is true success if not trophies, not medals, not titles? What is success when you no longer define it by external victories, but by inner coherence? Then what should true success really be defined as? True success is the ability to return to coherence no matter the circumstance. Let that challenge everything you have been taught. From childhood, you were told that success meant achievement, grades, promotions, houses, cars, status. But what if every trophy you ever won, every dollar you ever earned, every milestone you ever reached meant nothing if your inner world was in chaos? What if the true measure of success was not what you built on the outside, but whether you could return to coherence on the inside? Think of it. You can stand on the stage with applause shaking the room, yet inside your chest, your heart races. In fear, you can close the deal worth millions and still feel hollow. You can hold the keys to the life others envy and yet be tormented by the silence of your own mind. That is not success. That is captivity dressed in gold. Jessica learned this truth in the harshest way. She was a CEO in Silicon Valley. Her company soared, investors lined up, the long-awaited IPO launched, and newspapers called her a rising star. On the outside, she was the image of triumph. But inside, she was breaking. Sleepless nights, panic attacks hidden behind boardroom smiles. Every achievement raised the bar higher, demanding more, leaving her emptier. One night after the IPO celebration, Jessica sat alone in her hotel suite, surrounded by luxury, drowning in champagne, yet unable to breathe. She realized she had reached the summit everyone dreamed of, and still she was starving for peace. In that moment, the illusion shattered. Success was not the mountain she had climbed. Success was the silence she had lost. Through therapy, mindfulness, and heart coherence practices, Jessica began to reclaim herself. She learned to breathe again. She learned to let her nervous system soften. She discovered that when she returned to coherence, her decisions sharpened, her relationships healed, her joy returned. The IPO had not defined her. The billion-dollar valuation was not her crown. Her true success was the ability to find peace in the storm. So I ask you, how many of you are chasing external victories while your inner compass spins out of control? How many of you think you are failing because you have not achieved enough, when the truth is you could be winning the moment you choose coherence? Science backs this revelation. Studies of leaders under pressure reveal that those with high heart coherence perform better, recover faster, and inspire more trust. Success is not the absence of challenge. It is the ability to return again and again to inner alignment. Because when you are aligned, the outer world cannot shake you. Feel the urgency of this. If you continue chasing external validation while ignoring your internal compass, you will never know peace. You will live on a treadmill, running faster, achieving more, yet moving nowhere. But the instant you redefine success as coherence, everything changes. Wins become sweeter. Losses become lessons. Life flows rather than crushes. So here is your call to action. If you believe true success begins inside, if you know deep down that peace is more powerful than any paycheck, then write in the comments, "I choose coherence." Or simply leave a heart. Let that be your declaration. Let it be the moment you redefine what winning really means. Because once you shift your definition, you reclaim your power. You are no longer enslaved by the world's scoreboard. You are guided by your inner compass. And that compass cannot be shaken by markets, opinions, or chaos. But here is the next question that rises like a wave. You know now that success is coherence. You know the compass points inward. Yet the world outside is louder than ever. Noise, speed, distraction, pressure. How do you hold coherence when society itself is a storm? How do you sustain coherence in a world so chaotic? You sustain coherence by training resilience. Like the roots of a tree standing firm in the storm. Close your eyes and picture that image. The storm howls, the winds tear through the sky, branches may bend and sway, but the roots hold. The tree does not resist the storm by being rigid. It survives by being deeply anchored. That is resilience. That is what it means to maintain coherence when life unleashes chaos around you. So I ask you, when the storms of your own life strike, do you snap or do you stand? Do you collapse under pressure or do you rise with strength you didn't know you had? Science shows us resilience is not luck. It is measurable. It is trainable. Heart rate variability, HRV, is the marker. When stress attacks, your HRV reveals whether your nervous system falls into chaos or whether it recovers quickly. Incoherence means your body is thrown into survival mode, slow to recover, drained of energy. But coherence creates a nervous system that bounces back. It turns crisis into clarity. And no one embodies this truth better than Mark, a firefighter from Los Angeles. For years he faced flames that consumed entire blocks, the kind of infernos that melt steel and crush lungs with smoke. On one call, he and his team were trapped in a burning structure, the ceiling ready to collapse, smoke so thick they could barely see. Panic clawed at his chest. His brothers in uniform looked to him, and in that moment, he remembered the coherence training he had practiced. He slowed his breath, inhaled through the heart, exhaled calm into his body. He anchored his awareness into the present, and something shifted. His heart rhythm smoothed, his focus sharpened. He gave orders with clarity. They found their exit. Every man walked out alive. Later, Mark admitted that it was not muscle that saved him. It was not brute force. It was coherence. The ability to remain anchored when chaos threatened to tear him apart. His resilience was the root that held him steady in the storm. So what about you? What fires are you walking through right now? What storms are battering your life? And will you let them uproot you? Or will you train your resilience so you can stand tall no matter how fierce the winds? Resilience does not mean you never feel fear. It does not mean you never bend. It means you recover. You return to alignment. Faster, you turn fear into focus, pain into power. It is the ability to keep coherence alive even when the world is falling apart. And here is the urgency. If you do not train resilience, the storms will own you. Stress will hijack your body. Fear will control your choices. Chaos will dictate your destiny. But the moment you choose to build resilience, storms become teachers. Fires become fuel. Life's hardest moments become the forge where your power is refined. So I ask you directly, will you commit right now to stand like the rooted tree? 2. Let your storms reveal your strength instead of your weakness. If yes, then declare it in the comments. I choose to stand. Say it with conviction. Write it as a vow. Let that signal ignite your resilience. Because when you take that step, you are not only protecting yourself, you are also planting a signal in the field. And that signal matters. Which brings us to the next great mystery. If your coherence can anchor you in the storm, can it also influence others around you? Can your steady rhythm become the heartbeat that steadies a room? So how far can your coherence ripple outward? How can your energy affect the people around you? Yes, your energy can spread and bring an entire group into coherence. Think about that for a moment. Have you ever walked into a room and instantly felt tension, as if the air itself was heavy? Or entered another space where you felt uplifted, safe, inspired, without anyone saying a single word? That is not your imagination. That is resonance. That is the invisible field of human energy, and it can transform entire environments. Science now confirms what intuition has whispered for centuries. The HeartMath Institute has proven that the electromagnetic field of the heart radiates several feet beyond the body. This field is not just a personal bubble. It is an influence. It carries information. When your heart is in coherence, your field becomes ordered and harmonious, and that order influences the nervous systems of others around you. One coherent heart can steady a room. One stable rhythm can reduce the chaos of many. This is not theory. This is measurable. In classrooms, in workplaces, even in families, when one person practices coherence, the emotional tone of the entire group shifts. Stress levels drop. Communication improves. Conflict softens. Harmony emerges. Anna, a school teacher in Denver, lived this reality. Her classroom had become a battlefield. Children argued. Fights erupted. Attention was shattered. Every day she went home drained and hopeless. She tried stricter rules, louder punishments, endless strategies, but nothing worked. Then she learned about heart coherence. She began each morning with 3 minutes of slow breathing and heart focus before the students arrived. She centered herself in gratitude and steadiness. At first, nothing seemed to change, but slowly, something subtle began to happen. The children calmed more quickly. Arguments dissolved faster. Within months, fights decreased dramatically, and attention spans grew. The classroom became a place of safety and focus. Her colleagues asked what miracle she had used. Anna smiled and said, "I changed my own energy first. Do you see the power of this? Your coherence is not private. It ripples outward, shaping the people you love, the people you lead, even strangers in the same space." And here is the urgent truth. Whether you know it or not, you are always broadcasting. The question is, are you sending out noise or are you sending out harmony? So, let me ask you directly. Have you ever witnessed how one person's mood shifts the entire room? The angry boss whose presence makes everyone walk on eggshells. The calm friend whose smile dissolves tension. You already know this is real because you have felt it. Now imagine what happens when you consciously choose to radiate coherence. Imagine the influence you could have, not by words, not by force, but by energy. Science shows that groups practicing coherence together experience synchronized rhythms, as if their hearts are literally beating in alignment. Think about that. Entire teams moving in harmony because one signal set the tone. This is not just self-help. This is physics of the human field, and it leads to a sobering realization. If you refuse to cultivate coherence, you are not just hurting yourself. You are amplifying chaos for everyone around you. Your children, your colleagues, your friends. But if you choose coherence, you give them a gift far beyond words. You become the anchor in their storm. So here is your call to action. If you have ever felt the atmosphere of a room shift because of one person's energy, then write in the comments, "That is true." Declare your recognition. Claim your awareness. And decide now that you will be the one who shifts the room with coherence, not chaos. Because this is bigger than you. Your frequency is a contribution to the collective field. And when you choose coherence, you create ripples of harmony that may reach farther than you will ever know. But a deeper question remains. Is this a modern discovery? A new age fascination? Or are we simply rediscovering truths that ancient wisdom has always known? Could it be that science is finally proving what mystics and sages declared centuries ago? But is this only a modern trend, or is it an ancient truth now being rediscovered by science? We are only rediscovering the wisdom that our ancestors knew thousands of years ago. Let that truth shake you awake. Because what you call new, what you call cutting edge, what you call revolutionary in neuroscience and quantum physics is in fact ancient. For millennia, sages, mystics, and teachers spoke of a reality that flows when the mind is still, when the heart is open, when the self is dissolved into something greater. Today, science gives us graphs and scans, but the essence has always been known. Think of samadhi in yogic traditions, the state of union beyond thought. Think of wu-wei in Taoism, the effortless action that arises when you align with the natural flow. Think of Buddhism, teaching the middle way, the balance where suffering dissolves in awareness. These are not abstract ideas. They are descriptions of coherence. They are ancient maps of what we now measure with electrodes and sensors. Modern science calls it heart-brain synchronization. Quantum physics calls it field resonance. But the ancients simply called it truth, and they lived it. They passed it on in parables and poetry in silence. David, a physician in Boston, knew this in his bones. Trained in Western medicine, he spent years treating cancer patients with the best tools modern science offered. But he also studied the Tao Te Ching. He practiced its teachings of balance, softness, and flow. And he wondered, could these two worlds meet? So he began weaving them together. With his patients, he introduced simple breathing practices rooted in Taoist philosophy. He encouraged them to see their bodies not as enemies to be fought, but as rivers to be guided. He spoke of balance, of surrender, of Wu Wei, and something remarkable happened. Patients reported less pain, their anxiety eased, their recovery times shortened. The science of medicine merged with the wisdom of the ancients. One of his patients, facing terminal illness, said through tears, "For the first time, I do not feel like I am dying. I feel like I am living again." That is not just medicine. That is timeless wisdom meeting modern science. So I ask you, what if all the discoveries of today are simply translations of what has always been true? What if the path to coherence is not new at all, but ancient footsteps we are finally willing to follow again? The urgency is this: you do not have to wait for science to validate your experience. You do not need permission from textbooks to trust your inner knowing. The wisdom is already inside you. Your ancestors whispered it. Your traditions carried it. Your body remembers it. And now, with science as ally, you can reclaim it consciously. But here is the danger. If you dismiss this wisdom as outdated or irrelevant, you will miss the doorway standing right in front of you. You will chase novelty while ignoring the eternal. And the eternal is where coherence, peace, and true transformation live. So here is my invitation. If you love the union of science and ancient wisdom, if you feel the pull of timeless truth, wrapped in modern language, then write in the comments, "I want to know more." Declare it. Align yourself with the lineage of seekers who refuse to be satisfied with surface answers. Because the question that now arises is not whether this wisdom is real. You already feel it. You already know it. The deeper question is this: how do you activate it? How do you step onto the timeline where your highest potential becomes reality? So how do you activate the highest timeline of your own life? You activate the highest timeline by your choice and your declaration right now. Not tomorrow, not someday, not when conditions are perfect. Right now. Because the moment you choose, the moment you declare, the quantum field shifts. Reality bends toward the signal of your decision. That is the secret most people never claim. They wait for proof before they declare. But proof follows choice, not the other way around. Think about the path you have walked through this journey. You have faced the invisible struggle. You have discovered the secret language of the heart. You have learned to stop forcing and start allowing. You have exposed the traps that sabotage you. You have stepped into resonance where synchronicity flows. You have reframed challenge as the test of frequency. You have redefined success as coherence. You have trained resilience to stand in the storm. You have seen your energy ripple outward into the room. And you have reclaimed ancient wisdom that science now validates. All of this leads here to the single most important truth. Transformation is not something that might happen to you one day. Transformation is the declaration you make right now. Olivia knew this. She was a single mother in Florida, overwhelmed, exhausted, unsure of how to survive. Every day she felt, the crushing weight of bills, responsibility, and loneliness. But she decided to try something radical. Each morning she wrote the words, "I am changing." She did not wait until she had proof. She did not wait until the bills were paid. She declared. At first, nothing happened, but she kept writing, day after day, week after week, and something began to shift. Her nervous system calmed, her choices sharpened, her energy aligned. Within a year, she built an online business that supported her and her child, not because she forced reality, but because she declared her transformation and lived into it. So now the question is not whether this works. The question is whether you will choose. Will you continue waiting for life to change, or will you declare right now that you are changing? This is not metaphor. This is alignment. Every declaration sends a vibration into the quantum field. Every choice tells reality which timeline to mirror. And the timeline you step into is not chosen by chance. It is chosen by you. So here is your call to action. Declare it now. Write in the comments these words, "I am changing." Let your fingers become the instrument of destiny. Let your declaration send a signal into the field so strong it cannot be ignored. And do not stop there. Like Olivia, repeat it daily. Let it become your anchor, your compass, your frequency. Because repetition builds resonance, and resonance builds reality. And I ask you this with urgency. If not now, when? If not you, who? If not this declaration, then what? Do not let another year pass in hesitation. This is your moment to declare your highest timeline. So do it now. And once you do, share this message. Like it, save it, send it to those you love. Because when you declare together, the resonance multiplies. When groups align, coherence strengthens, and the ripple effect becomes unstoppable. And as you do, remember this. Out of millions of videos you could have chosen, you chose this one. That is not accident. That is synchronicity. That is your higher self guiding you to this exact moment. And for that, I thank you. Every like, every comment, every share is not just support. It is a heartbeat added to this collective field of transformation. So I say again, with all the power I can offer, write it now. I am changing. Choose it, declare it, live it. Because your highest timeline is waiting for you, and the only doorway is your decision in this very moment. And when you step through that doorway, everything changes.